Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to the 1873 TV. And we have a program that is under the banner Connections to Communities. How best do we build communities? In our communities, who stands out as a shining star? And tonight we're talking about journalism. Who is the journalist that you look up to or you can look up to? Tonight, we are talking about Mukoma Masimba with Wellington Muzengeza. You have now come to know Mukoma Masimba. Is that correct?
Yes. We have met on this social media streets.
When did you first get to know of him?
When you had a broadcast that involved him, that was the first time I got to know about him or his existence. I think it was something on. I don't know. You were discussing various issues. He mentioned something to do with Zimbabwe and about looking for his mother.
Oh, so this is recently.
Yes, this is recent. I think it's last month. Is it not Sunday? I think this is last Sunday. So
Yeah.
I'm really acquainted with the
So
man.
prior
Yes.
to that, you didn't know about him?
No, I didn't. But as usual, these days in this digital age, once you know about someone, you do a little bit of research on about the person. I found that he has been trolling a lot of social media platforms and contributing, of course. Maybe trolling is not the right word. Let's say he's been patrolling a lot of social media platforms that are mostly used by Zimbabweans, I think.
All
At
right.
home and
So, and this morning we're talking about journalism.
Yes.
And from what you now know,
Yes.
which class or category would you put him to?
I'll call Mukoma Masimba what would I call Mukoma Masimba? He definitely has a voice, and he definitely spends his time, or he occupies his time disseminating his views, whatever they are, on social media platform. That's where he gets his voice. I would say he's a journalist of sorts. He's occupying himself as a journalist. He puts his views out there. He finds a platform where he can air his views.
So, is he a media personality? Has he earned his stripes to be followed by others?
Yes, he commands a huge following on Facebook, on his Facebook page or pages. So he generates content that people find interesting. So if people follow him because they are interested in what he has to say, yes, he's a media personality, certainly. His face is familiar to many people on these social media streets, regardless of what he's saying and what other people may think about it.
So, what does it take to be a media personality?
Visibility. You just need a platform where you can be seen and where your voice can be heard. You just need a platform to hear you and an audience.
All right. So you need a platform.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't need to be qualified.
Qualifications. If generate or arrest enough interest in the public with the content that you are giving out, that in itself is a qualification. The question is, maybe who govern what you say or the limit to what you say from a code of conduct perspective, for example, ethical conduct. Maybe that may be the question. But there is no need for a qualification as long as you are well spoken and you can get your message out there, whatever it is. In my view, that is a qualification.
Somebody say Mofela says the guy is an asshole.
Why do you say? Why does Mofela think so? Does he want to come through and tell us why he thinks the guy is an a-hole?
That's what he thinks, and obviously there are mixed opinion. And when I look out of the window, I find that there are people who also call me an asshole.
People are entitled to
And
their view.
a profession is something you go to school for. A vacation is what you just do. What if those who are in the profession are no longer relevant, are redundant? Because the public out there, the market is looking for juicy stories, for narratives that you can't get hold. Dara Mawere, don't read some comments. All right, somebody's telling me what not to do. And those people are saying that they should self-manage, which is restrained. When you make comments, please make sure that you can repeat them. So here we are talking about journalism versus activist. So can you call a person like Mukoma Masimba an activist?
What defines an activist is they have a cause. Can we say Mukoma Masimba is a cause that he's pursuing? I do not know for sure. Maybe that's up to Mukoma Masimba to tell us what the cause.
He has already said he stands for digging deeper, that any issue that exists has got many sides, many angles to look at. So even if it's witchcraft, even if it's identity, who am I? You can look at identity in so many ways.
Yes.
So there is not a simple answer. So he's saying, whatever I do, even when you look at me in my condition, I got a story to tell. Even the way I look, the way I live, it's a story to tell. It's a reminder for others of what life promises and can be.
Yes. Yes.
So he is a person who has said, pursue. There are many people who are laughing. There are many people who are angry with him. And what he said today, before he was taken to the hospital, says, all I have is I got a phone. I'm the boss. I decide, I write the script. And even if I were to die, you remember me by the script that I've written for myself. How many people never write scripts in their lives?
Yes. So Mukoma Masimba has got a script and is already acting on that script that is on that story that he has. He's already sharing it with us. And in this era of the digital revolution, anything that you put on the digital media platforms is there in perpetuity for people to see it even way after our time. So the man is already putting his ideas out there, putting his thinking out there. We are here speaking or discussing about him or talking about him because he has said something that has provoked us to talk. And a lot of people are commenting because they are interesting. They find what he's saying interesting. They're interested.
So what makes a good journalist?
A good journalist must be an articulate person who has a story that they are willing to share, and they share it.
So how do you test articulateness?
As long as they can communicate effectively in any language, using any media, and their message gets across clearly, then that is being articulate.
All right. Good evening, General Kayemba, is it?
That's right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Mr. M?
Not too bad. And perhaps you can tell us what makes you a general and makes me a soldier.
Nah, I don't know. If you would probably ask those who give me those titles. Say, I don't
There must
usually the
be a
one.
reason why you've earned the term general. So I
Yeah,
can only salute you.
don't worry. As time goes on, you make up your mind whether you have to salute me like everybody does, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
I would like to know why they do call me the general themselves, but yeah, that's the nickname that people usually call me with.
You
Okay.
command
Where
an
are
army.
you? Where are you located? Are you in Zim or outside?
I'm outside Zim.
Which country or which GPS or which zip code?
the Queensland, the UK.
Oh, UK. Okay, no, that's fine. And have you been following the issue of Mukoma Masimba?
Yeah, I've been watching it quite a few years.
All right. And do you have anything to say about the subject that we're dealing with? And what provoked you to step forward and say, let me add my voice?
Oh, yeah. See, I've heard you've been talking with the guy for quite a long time, Mr. Mawere, so few days now. And he's a social media personality, a guy who's been doing what he's been doing at Mvenge. He get to be big in that regards. But when he came recently and started speaking with you with these alleged problems, it caught a lot of people's attention, including mine and the boys at ZRG, the soldiers, my boys. They asked, what's all this about? It seems when he started at Venge talking, when he was doing, he had a different kind of audience with him. That was probably Zvemagitare, Zvevaskana, Zvebiazi. That was his audience in his journalism. Now he has branched more likely into politics and it's so mixed up during, it's, I don't understand. You are the one, Mr. Mawera, I would like to ask you to separate it between a journalist, a social media journalist, and an activist. You guys who usually host him and talk to him, when you invite him, what do you invite him as? Do you invite him as an activist, a human rights activist, or whatever activism he say? Or do you bring him to your shows as a social media celebrity or personality? That's what I
All
would
right.
really like to
Okay.
hear
Yeah.
before we go further.
For me, I met him through Facebook.
Just like a
Uh,
lot of people.
he wrote to me, then we didn't have video
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. So he wrote to me, and somebody who knew me more than I knew myself.
Okay.
And he was talking about issues related to Shabani Mashaba mines.
Yeah, which you used to own.
Yeah, and he stated as fact that I had externalized the money, and this is what he had raised. So I did respond to him then.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, when you talk of externalization, you must be able to know what is external, what is internal, what is theft, what is not theft.
Yeah.
Theft involves property of
Mm-hmm.
value. So if I have property of value, then somebody takes your phone. That's proper. That's an object if there's no network. But if somebody takes your phone and hides it or uses it as it is, then call you a thief for something that they've taken which is not theirs.
Yes, yeah.
Have we ever heard this kind of nonsense? Government is saying you have stolen, but the government does not generate the money that they say you have stolen. It's like a thief who waits at your gate. Once you have harvested, the thief says, it's my harvest too.
It's not
And
only.
then that shocked him, and we started a radio station. Inspired by Masimba to say, Masimba, you exhibit some qualities of an inquiring mind. You can't buy the human spirit. You can employ journalists who write a story for the sake of earning money, but they are not part of the story. That spirit in you. Imagine you go to Libya, you see somebody from Niger, from Chad, and you ask them, where are you going? I'm going to Europe. Where are you going to live? I don't know. But where I'm going, I have faith that when I arrive there, my life will be better. They have nothing to explain for it. They have nothing to show for it. But all they have is the faith, the belief that where I'm going is better. There are many people who are journalists who have nothing to say, nothing to report, nothing to inform, nothing to educate. So if Mukoma, he called me today and he couldn't find me. He called me about 20 times. And all he wanted was to go live. And I said, I'm busy, but I think he knew something was about to happen. The police were supposed to take him. I think he knew that.
So I don't know, Mr. Mawere, so from the sounding of what you say, sorry to interrupt, from what you say you have had a history with him when he told the people misleading facts about externalizing funds at Shabani mine, and that's how you and him get to interact and probably get to know each other that much, and but with the recently shenanigans, you as a guy who have known him for quite a long time, what would you say all these things of him? 1 minute he's sitting in cars, we are going to work, and in 2 minutes now I'm homeless. You as a guy who have known him long time, on behalf of the 2,000-3,000 people who now follow him just to listen his sad stories, not to say, I don't know, something, just to watch it because he's a fellow Zimbabwean. We all sympathize. He caught our attention. But you as an elder, as a senior who brought him, have you heard the full facts from some other people that he was actually homeless, he's actually struggling?
No, he told me, he said, Mr. Mawere, I've learned something from you. That what is death is not death. What is real is not real. So I am writing a movie, and I want you to connect me to a producer of a movie. And my storyline is as follows: that what you see need not be real, but people are so gullible, they believe. If I go and show that I am homeless, people will believe that I am homeless. But if I don't live with the homeless, they will not believe it. So I said, but why go that far to show a lesson? You can act a movie, still come out of it. And as a different, there are many people who act gangster movies, but they don't become gangsters themselves. So this was the conversation last week.
Absolutely.
Connecting him. Then he called me again and said, Mr. Mawere, I've learned something. You were accused of stealing, but people created that falsehood. And how many people believe it? But it's not true. But all they wanted is to achieve something. So when I am reminded of this, I know I can create a person in me. And people who believe it, and that's the story I knew. But I said, I'm looking at you now. I see there's something wrong. What is it that is in your mind?
I don't know. I'm good. Mr. Mutuma, the phone is a bit. I just want to say, so then I go, I've got these guys have to drop me in a minute. All I wanted to say on separating this sort of social media, I don't know whether you call them celebrity or personalities. Some of them, including him, he is one of these social media personalities that's been misleading some few people, including the young people today who should be fighting or try to understand Zimbabwe. So to try to get these attentions and sympathies on Zimbabwe people, some people should know better than giving even platforms to use that to Zimbabwean people. We have a suffering country, Mr. Mawere, playing with people's emotions at this time. It's something we did not expect from him. That's the point of my call. We don't expect that from him. He was doing very well. It is in Venge there. He had a very good following people. His image is good. If he wants to do his movie, wants to do documentary about his life, he could do that one without trying to bring stress the diasporans who are far away from home into his things. These journalists,
General,
some of them, like your question of are they journalists? Go on, say.
General, I just want to ask, why do you think what Mukoma Masimba is doing is not necessary in light of the struggles that people are going through in the diaspora or at home? And what makes you decide, if so, what makes you decide that what Mukoma Masimba is doing is not important?
Yeah, it's not me getting there. If you guys, the broadcasters or people like Mr. Maem, come to question asking to separate between activists and journalists, that means that there is a problem somewhere. Now imagine me, a viewer, or the boys, the viewer, you are a journalist, deliver to the people. If you are to fight for a cause, you are meant to be the platform that the people are asking to ask which one is which one. Who is the guy who knows about activism and who is talking about activism? And who is the guy now who is leading in his journalism to speak? People come to his shows and listen to him. Yet what he's talking is not helping these same people. That's where now we end up coming to say, hey, we don't mind. I've said that. I know what he's been doing. I've followed him. I've supported him, even at him. But when there is now confusion between the activists, whether they are women rights, human rights, women abuses, political, activists are activists, journalists are journalists. People who got a microphone to go on Facebook and start to speak, they are different to those guys, And once they start get activists and guys like him, journalists like him, or celebrity journalists like him, that's where the problem become, because we're going to have people being misled. And we don't think it's right. We already got people who are misleading people in Zimbabwe through prophecy, fake stuff, which he was talking earlier on himself. So we can't start having everybody thinking they can elevate to a bigger platform by using the suffering of the people. That's where we come involved. We have got no problem with anyone's hustle. He can do anything. We can support him in his movie. We'll buy it. We'll watch it. That documentary, no doubt.
But General, you got a point. Don't you think after 40 years of independence, Zimbabwe itself is a joke because of us? We've accepted too much nonsense.
Maybe and that's where the
Mr. Mawere, I beg to differ. We're only 40 years.
Yeah.
I beg to differ, Mr. Mawere. Zimbabwe has problems that goes on with the age it has today. You'd understand this, Mr. Mawere.
Well, I'm saying you and I are talking because of Mukoma Masimba. Is that correct? Otherwise, we have nothing to talk to each other, to know each other.
That's right.
Yeah. Don't you think that is a problem?
Oh, yeah. There was something that people were talking about, which is where the generals like, we are getting involved. We have the time that people wanted to.
What is it?
Zimbabwe, there were people who are vocal. There is people who had problems. Now their attention are diverted.
No. But how can you divert something that is going nowhere?
I can't hear it's crackling off the phone that much, say.
I don't know. How can you distract something that is going nowhere?
Well, it's nothing that's called it's going nowhere in a country that's 40 years, especially that needs its people enlightened. In every instant, there is 3, 4, 5 people who learn. Sooner or later, there will be a bunch of people who can understand it united. Is anything going? I'm aware. Things built by 1, 2, 3 people together. You can enlighten each other, teach each other, which you say on your shows. That's what they are for. Some people learn, and when they learn, they understand a thing, and they'll change their way of even voting or supporting next time because they've learned it from other people. So we're not saying there is going to be drastic change. We are 40 years old.
General,
let's
point. The point here is what makes a journalist? What is a journalist, especially in this digital age? That is the point we're trying to discuss. The issue of journalism. Mukoma Masimba is a case he uses social media platforms to air out whatever views he has. Some of them I can tell that you don't agree with. Some of them you probably do. But we are looking at him as someone who is dispensing information and communicating to the general public. In this case, he contacted he contacted MD Mawere, all right? And then MD Mawere is a platform where you can communicate on various platforms, all right? Whether with or without MD Mawere, as long as Mukoma Masimba had a smartphone, he was going to broadcast somewhere, which makes him some kind of a journalist. So the conversation here is what makes a journalist? Does one sitting on Facebook dispensing their views, communicating to a multitude of followers, do they become a journalist in this digital era? What does it mean? That is the question. The content now, or the motive, the motives of Mukoma Masimba, no one knows them except himself.
Mukoma, I would be lying to say I heard you clearly, Mukoma Wanguji, because the phone somewhere is crackling, where I am in the office. But, I've just heard about Mukoma Masimba being a journalist and journalist or something like that. Listen, and your very good question, first one, that's why I'm going to answer and leave. This about a good journalist in this digital era is somebody who respect that the viewers can go and research things, find out for themselves, and provide facts that other people can research and know that they are true for themselves. Not somebody who comes and report things that someone can go and end up research and find out actually Mutuma Mawere did not externalize money in Shabani. That's no longer a good journalist now. His credibility is losing to somebody who's wise or enlightened, isn't it? You tell me Mutuma externalized money, I go research myself, I find out Mutuma did not externalize money. Some things happened. The next time I hear you again talking about something, is your journalism going to be straight to me? Have you thought about me? I could go and research myself about him 2 months past 20 years ago. No, you didn't. So long a good journalist now. You're just like somebody, an amateur footballer. You are not Beckham, you are an amateur footballer. That if you go to the parks play football, that does not mean say Peter and love. No, Mukoma. That's Mukoma Masimba. They might have a camera, they might have followings. But there is matters that they should talk about. I'm sure their viewers will appreciate it if they stick to those matters. Then there will be those journalists that they are known, they can report matters that are general, but not matters that can touch to political, like Mawere stories. Not just a matter that can be discussed by anybody. It's a matter that's big, that draws big people, big issues involved. So if it's going to be reported by an amateur journalist, then gentlemen, where are we going as a nation? Business, many people, us who are ambitious, or the young people. It's nothing. We need journalists who can, who knows, who respect that it's a modern day of technology. I can research what he had said. I can find out.
I have to join a meeting at 9 o'clock.
So if they the truth, we can give them credibility.
All right. Yeah, even me, I have to go to another meeting. But General, I value your contribution, because it's only when we talk to each other, not at each other, that we all become better for it. There is no one with the monopoly of wisdom.
Absolutely.
We all have the same understanding, but sometimes we don't talk to each other. And when we talk to each other, we will find differences, but we also find the bridges that connect us. It may be sadness, it may be pain that gets us to know each other.
Absolutely.
but we are better for it. The world is big, but it's small because we make it small every day by reaching out to people we would ordinarily not talk to. And what is a
Absolutely.
journalist? Let's talk about that. There are many people qualified to be journalists who act as if they never went to school, who use their pen, their minds to divide people, who use fake news, lies to create a reality that doesn't exist. So where to go?
Absolutely.
So we can only change that. And I hope we can continue this conversation so that we can reach a stage where literacy holds for all of us. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mtumama Wele.
Juliet is there. And Juliet, you can say hi, and we don't see who you are. Just say hi because I have another meeting outside this meeting. But General, let's keep on talking. And that's the only way life was meant
Hello,
to be.
Juliet.
Juliet ran away.
That's absolutely true, Mr.
Okay, no, thank you very much.
Maybe something just happened to a